positive thoughts and prayers to those in our community that need our support. Okay, now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And when you're ready, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Bryson?
Here.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Here.
Commissioner Clausen?
Here.
Commissioner May?
Here.
Commissioner O'Brien? Commissioner Rory?
Here.
Mayor Vandenbosch?
Here.
City Manager Reeves?
Here.
All right, and can I have a motion to excuse Commissioner O'Brien?
So moved. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Under item 4 for approval of the agenda, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Under 5 for presentations, proclamations, and recognitions, we have the Michigan Municipal League here tonight for the Marine City Opportunity Report presentation.
It was on the screen.
Oh, there we go. Yay, okay. Excellent. Oops, we need to go up there. There we go. Well, good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm Shanna Draheim. I want to knock that over. I'm Shanna Draheim. I am the policy director of the research labs at the Michigan Municipal League.
And I'm Margaret Mooney. I am our membership associate, so I work with the League's membership department. Happy to be here tonight. Thank you.
And we appreciate you guys having us. So we're going to give a little bit of an overview of our work on the local economies and our site visit here in Marine City. Going to keep it kind of high level. We're not going to go through each of the recommendations or anything in here. You have it in your packets, and we'll give you guys some time to ask questions either now, or I see you have an item on the agenda later if you'd rather do that then, if that makes sense. So, but also just feel free to, if you have a question as we're going, we're very informal, so feel free to raise your hand and just ask us. So we'll jump in if that sounds good. So the League has been partnering with the Ralph Wilson Foundation for the last 3 or 4 years, actually. They have funded us to do some work in communities, particularly small to mid-size, kind of out county, more rural. So not your kind of larger suburbs and definitely not any of the larger cities that are in their 7-county region. And the idea is, what are communities doing to kind of help support small business ecosystems? And what kinds of things can the local government, some of the partners, nonprofits, businesses themselves do in those communities to help grow those local economies? And I think we all understand that, as Michigan's economy has changed a lot over the last 30 years, we at the League have been really focused on the kind of convergence of those small businesses as a key part of making thriving communities, helping to create a sense of place, helping to strengthen your economy, where, particularly for some of our communities where they've had maybe one major employer, that employer leaves, and there's such a challenge with some of the economics. How can we have a kind of a diverse small business economy? And so we've been working with the Wilson Foundation on that. It has included 3 buckets of work. We did a community playbook guidebook last year, which is available online, and I'll send links out later. But it basically took some of the learnings that we did from these various site visits, as well as other discussions that we've had, and has some strategies in there for communities to help support local economies. We have done some redevelopment assistance with the 3 pilot communities we worked with initially. And then what is bringing us here today again is the site visits that we did with 6 communities throughout that 7-county region, including Marine City. So, there we go. So at each of these site visits, we kind of had a format. We would come for the whole day. We'd start the day with a coffee hour with small businesses in the community. We invite them to join us for this coffee hour and roundtable, tried to do it earlier so that they could, make it and it wouldn't infringe on their businesses. We did not purposely invite city to come to that meeting, because the idea was come and give some of your honest feedback, have a place that you can share. And the great benefit of this, some of which you'll hear about, is not only is it a great way for them to share with us some of the things in their community and some of their suggestions, But really, it has turned into every community we've been to, kind of a networking amongst those businesses too, which has been a great thing. We follow it with a walking tour, and this time we did, you can see a picture there, we did a nice walking tour, even though it was a wintry spring day here when we were here. And then in the afternoon, we do a stakeholder meeting discussion with regional stakeholders who are in some way involved in small business support. So think like Small Business Development Center. We had, Council of Governments, St. Clair County Community Foundation, and we have a list of what those organizations are in the packet there. So that's kind of the format we use. And then we follow it up with a debrief. So we did a follow-on debrief with Mike and Scott afterwards. This is kind of some of the stuff we heard, help give us context, give a little, truth side to some of the things maybe you hear. And so just to kind of help put some of those comments on what we got in perspective. And then coming out of that, we gather as a group, we kind of think about what we did, and then we put together this opportunity report to just highlight, here are some of the things we learned that might be helpful for you, here are some short-term and long-term recommendations. And at the League, we really rely heavily on, what are some best practices out there? What are some of your fellow communities doing that might be applicable here that could be learnings? And then we also then steal from you of things we learned here and share them with other communities. So some of the things that we learned that day, I think, it won't be a surprise to any of you that you have a very strong, creative, and inclusive small business community here. I mean, you have a couple very strong entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, and, who have done a lot to lead the charge. And in fact, when we were kind of looking at which communities to go to for these 6, Marine City was literally on the map early, both for us and for the Wilson Foundation, just because we were aware of some of the work that was going on with sort of your arts theater hub. So lots of great connection between those small businesses, lots of camaraderie, but definitely heard from some of the businesses some disconnect between particularly the different business districts, right? So, you have sort of your downtown Water Street area, Parker Street. So how can they maybe work together more? What are some ways that physically and, emotionally, socially, some of those distinct business districts could be more connected? We got really great feedback from businesses and the stakeholder partners that the city is a good partner, that they enjoy working with you. There was a lot of, the business community in particular really noted that they've seen a change in that in the last few years, and that they feel like you guys are a place they can come to. They feel like they can ask the questions they need to and get the help they need. They definitely, lots of shout outs for the chamber and for Laura, so thank you for being here right now too. But I think that's a real asset that you guys have in your community, is, having a good, strong chamber group and businesses that feel connected to that and feel like, I want to start a business, I want to grow a business, who am I going to ask? So lots of really good feedback there. People noted some of the placemaking investments that you guys have been making to draw foot traffic and drive foot traffic, particularly down in that Water Street area, but that was something that people really noted as a thing that's kind of helping to make Marine City a place people want to come. One of the things that was noted was sort of the need for more strategic and engaging marketing. So lots of sort of disparate marketing activities, right? The chamber does some, there's some, some new signs and some things that the city has tried to do along that, but not a sort of a cohesive strategy around, who is Marine City? How does Marine City fit into the greater Sunrise Coast? What would a kind of identity and marketing strategy look like? Particularly, again, thinking about how to maybe connect your distinct business districts so that if somebody is, out visiting a small business, in Parker or something, they feel the same, like the vibe would be different than Water Street, but they would know they were in Marine City. They would know they are part of that community and kind of create some of that consistency. So we definitely heard that. Some vacant and underutilized buildings, particularly along Water Street, we noticed on the walking tour, but, up each of the corridors. And this is true in every community. There are tools to address some of that. There are, blight ordinances that can be used where it's like really poor performing properties. And in some cases, it might be partnership building with, people who've just held the property for a long time. They're not really actively having that commercial space be utilized. We saw a couple examples of that. We've seen that in every community we've been in, there's usually 2 or 3 parcels of like, someone's just owned it forever and they aren't willing to let go. So what does it look like for, the community, the chamber, some of those regional groups to try to help work with that property owner and think about what are some of the options there? And then I'll just mention again, I think the cluster of the arts and theater is just great. It's something that you are known for. You also have incredible opportunity for outdoor recreation, and lots more opportunity, I think, to build on. And, the new marina, which when I went by tonight, looks like I saw some activity there, yes. There was earth moving of some sort. But I think we thought there were some real opportunities there to build on. So that's, those are some of the key things we heard. And unlike some places, your businesses here and your city staff are aware of and plugged into some of those regional partner entities. That's not true in all places, but you have someone from SBDC, for example, who's here and spends a lot of time here. And I think there's opportunities to just kind of keep building on that. Some of the partners who were there that day were really excited about what they were hearing and seeing when they came, because they hadn't been to Marine City in a little while. So one of the things you'll see in that opportunity report is really encouraging. Like, how can you keep those folks coming here so that when someone's walking in their door saying, I'm ready to start a business, they are thinking, I'm going to connect you with Mike, and you're going to go down and take a look at Marine City. So those are some of the things that we're thinking of. I talk really fast, so I'm kind of ripping through this, but just, jump in, and I'm going to let Margaret go from there.
Yeah, totally. So, like Shanna's been saying, we see a lot of existing efforts going on in Marine City, which is really exciting, and I think the momentum that exists with, the pride to be Marine City and the Sunrise Coast, and your culture and history of, maritime tradition, and all of those things are like super, super awesome, and we want to see just more of that as far as our recommendations. And again, I won't list everything that's right there in the opportunity report, you have it, but these were 3 sort of overarching and very much interconnected recommendation areas. So again, like Shanna's been saying, strengthening connections between the business districts, and that, how we were hearing from the businesses in the morning when we were here, and then also the partners and stakeholders in the afternoon. Very similar ideas were shared as far as wayfinding to kind of make your way around the bend, not only be on the Water Street drag, but make it up the Parker Street corridor, things like that. There are, existing signs that may be efforts of the chamber or certain businesses saying, like, head into the Mariner, for example, and find more shopping, things like that. But just more of that was a recommendation that we thought would be super, tangible, accessible. It's nothing, too crazy, but also passport coupon systems. That's something that we've seen really successful other places and other communities are doing. So kind of encouraging not only to stay centralized in one, shopping district, but community or businesses having community amongst themselves to, encourage people to shop next door or make your way around the corner to, my friend and colleague and, fellow business owner over here, or having pop-up events that might feature, be located in one, part of the community or part of the downtown, but invite, somebody from a different business. There is that camaraderie and a lot of, the existing, relationships, and especially when we were here that day, I think some of that got to continue and happen, and we saw it. So just continuing with things like that. Then placemaking and community development initiatives, really tons of opportunity. And I just want to say the tile, the mosaic public art series along the way, so awesome. I loved that. I wanted to shout that out because I thought it was so cool. And again, sort of the maritime component, the through line of that is awesome, and I think more of that. Kind of encouraging people to linger with like the waterfront and businesses that might lend themselves to things like benches or picnic tables or play structures for kids. It's a growing community. I know one of the business owners was a real estate agent who has a young family, and so you think about, all ages, placemaking being important. Just as far as empowering entrepreneurs and fostering development and support. I think Marin City, it sounded like there was maybe an existing toolkit or something that had been put together, but it was unclear where it lived on your website, that type of thing. So making that, maybe refreshing and making it super accessible for everyone, kind of the one-stop shop for resources, business partners, things like that. For both, new potential businesses coming to Marine City and existing ones, I think the city is also in a, special position to foster that trust and belonging and feeling like you're, welcome here and you're part of, the growing and evolving business network. So that, leans a little bit on the league's overall trust and belonging goals and thriving communities and what that looks like, which you may be a bit familiar with, but trust and belonging is sort of the secret sauce, I would say. And so making sure that whether you're a new business or somebody who's been around for a while and wants to stay plugged in and part of the network, that they have the tools they need to do that.
And it's definitely something we've heard a lot from the businesses themselves, that Marine City feels like a welcoming place to them. Camaraderie amongst themselves, but just that they felt that. They felt kind of a connection to the community and to each other and to this community. So, and that, again, that's not true everywhere. So, how do you keep fostering that? I think part of that trust and belonging is them having trust in you as well. I mean, we say to most of our members, but particularly as it relates to this, you don't want your first interaction with a small business to be them coming into City Hall because they got a violation of their whatever they did illegally because they didn't know they were supposed to do it when they opened their business, which happens all the time, as you I'm sure know. So, how can you put some of those resources, that toolkit, front and center, so that it's like, okay, I'm thinking about doing this, here's what I need to know. A lot of them hear it word of mouth or they get it from the chamber, but if they're not, you can help kind of support that. And that's an easy, just information. You already know it. You know that information, just getting it down and having it be an engaging way. And so we gave you some examples in there. Communities who've done a really good job. We always encourage sort of the big borrow steal from other communities approach too. So, if something looks good there, then just, how does this fit in Marine City? Is this something we could do a variation on this? So,
Totally, super pertinent, ordinances that might exist at the local level could be included in that type of a toolkit so that, the business owner isn't walking in saying, we violated something we didn't even know existed, exactly like Shanna said. And meeting businesses where they are, not everyone is, in the same spot. And as far as, the placemaking strategies and any sort of aesthetic additions or infrastructure being incorporated throughout any or all parts of downtown, it doesn't have to be the same everywhere. It doesn't, maybe not every block is, one that needs benches, but maybe planters or whatever it may be.
and that can and should be distinct. I mean, we
Yes.
did hear this disconnection sometimes between the businesses, but that doesn't mean sort of what that placemaking is or what those services are is the same. You're not doing the same necessarily on Water Street that you're doing because the businesses are different and the traffic for those are different, but just thinking about, where do they connect, what does make sense there, and sort of what do each of those subsets of small businesses need. And I think just, having that in your mind, and I think we very much heard that from you, Mike and Scott, that you're already doing that a lot, and obviously the chamber serves businesses throughout the city, but I think, those are distinct needs, more Main Street versus more car-driven, but, there's room for some really creative support there. I think the other thing I would just build on and note is the recommendations in here are, we purposely do them sort of short-term and longer-term. Some clearly have costs with them, where there's grant funding or things like where we think you could get grant funding. We tried to note that some of these are not cost or are lower cost kinds of things. And while this is, you are our members and we're here to kind of talk to you and to try to help you do some of this stuff, these recommendations are not, as you read them, I'm sure you saw it, they're not just for the city. They are also for the small businesses themselves, right? They have a role to play in this. If the chamber's hosting events, they need to be open. They need to be open past the hours of when people are going to be there in those special days. And then the city has to support that in the ways the city does. And, the regional entities need to support that. So everybody plays a role in making that healthy ecosystem We, tailored this as much as we could to you, our members, but there are recommendations in there that, and we've shared this opportunity report with all of the people who participated that day, so they all have a copy of it as well, but. Questions? Happy to answer questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shannon. And I wanted to tell you guys, we really appreciate you guys assisting us, putting this together for the local businesses. I think we learned a lot as we not only listened to you, but had an opportunity to sit with some of the businesses. I think a lot of the things we have in place,
Yeah.
we can kind of
There's
tweak them a
tweaks.
little bit, just a little tweak here and there, but a couple of things we've been already working forward since your report. We've offered an exposition day, and we've done a number of different things. And wayfaring signs are at the top of my list there. We received a grant out of your organization for that, so we'll put that in play. A TAP grant, we're putting the finishing touches on that. We hope to roll that out and paving markings and more wayfaring signs. And we realize that we have multiple business districts, and we're trying to address the different aspects of both business districts, because they are different.
Yeah.
But we're also trying to put those pathways to enjoining
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
so one doesn't feel left out from the other.
Sure.
But we appreciate everything that you've done to us. And I want to shout out to Scott, because this was Scott's
Yeah.
baby. He adopted it, he worked it forward. He wrote the grant, he brought the money in, and he put this together. I was just a passenger on the train, and I
Yeah, you're a great
appreciate his
passenger, but yes,
expertise.
Thank you to Scott, because he's been great for.
Yes, he's been very, very knowledgeable and very good in this, and together it's been a work in progress, and I think you'll see that we're gonna continue some of the ideas that you have going forward.
That's awesome. And I would just reiterate that, we are a membership organization. You are our members. This doesn't have to be the end of this. This was an intensive kind of engagement, but my team in particular, but Margaret's as well, as you're getting into these, if you have questions, right? I know it came up during the site visit, the conversation around a DDA, reformulated DDA and TIF district, for example. Obviously, we can't provide the legal assistance on that, but we have a lot of examples, and we've done a lot of work with MEDC, for example, on redevelopment-ready communities. So there's a lot of resources still. Like, if you have questions as you're getting into these, you know where to find us, and don't hesitate to just pick up that phone and say, hey, we're trying to figure this out, or we think this might be a good idea. Are there any other communities like ours that are doing this? Because, yes, there are.
Well, what I hope is that when Margaret and you go to other communities and that you talk to them, you say, well, Marine City's doing it this way.
Yeah.
And we've seen success in Marine City doing it that way.
Yeah.
And you use this, I'd love to be the one that sets the benchmark in terms of
Yeah.
how we achieve things with the business community. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We learn a lot from you guys too, so we do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate having you guys
Yeah.
here and all of this work that you did, and the grant as well. So thank you very much.
You bet. Can I leave that now? Is that?
All set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lida. Thank you.
And now we're on to 6 for public comment. This is a time for public comment. Any member of the public may address the city commission on any topic. Please step to the podium, state your name for the record, and be heard. No commissioner, department head, or city staff will respond. City manager will follow up on the public comments as necessary. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes, and please direct all your comments to me as the chairperson. Please refrain from the use of profanity, and please do not direct any comments to any other members of the public. Is there someone like to speak? Sir?
Hi, my name is Ray Ward, over at 6563 River. I don't like to public speak, so bear with me. I'm asking you guys as a commission to please empower your city attorney or whomever that may be able to help push your supplier F&B forward into settling with us 5 residents and or businesses that were impacted by the flood back on July 12th. I'm cruising along into 2 months. I had to go out and charge a new washer and dryer. Right, it was great going over the quarter coin op and arguing with the owner over $4 on one of their machines. But that's not why I moved here. Now I have to go out and take out some sort of a small loan just to deal with my boiler. right? I had almost 3.5 feet of water at one point down there. The highest I measured it was 30.5 inches, 31 inches. We're struggling a little bit. I'm talking a lot to my neighbors, the Chandlers. They live at 6595. They're, I think, the first house north of Tagalong. Same issues, right? They're a little different plane than us. I think they got about a foot and a half of water. So it wasn't quite as bad, but they have some of the same issues that I have. It's like everything stopped, right? My mitigation company, they won't do anything else forward with us. Right now, we're 25,000 in the hole with them. My my sump slash sewer backup rider, I think was good for 9,000. At least we had 9,000. That's more than Bob Smith had. At the end of the day, I don't blame the city. I don't understand really right now exactly the nuances between F&B and the city as to oversight. That being said, I work for a large corporation. We had a half dozen suppliers. We dealt with $140 million a year. We didn't drag purchasing, which would be for your guys' purpose, the city, into an issue. We brought the supplier in, we hacked through it, and we either ate it as a department, they ate it, or we met in the middle. And right now, I'm not sensing that from F&V. I invite them to come to my home and look around. I've been really transparent with everybody. I don't have anything to hide. I'm not trying to make anything out of this. I just want to try to get back into one piece so we can use our home again. I'm most concerned about my boiler, right? The thing is 8 years old. A repair is just shy of $6,000. A full replacement is 10 and some change. It's a roll of the dice just to fix it. Am I going to have a problem in 3 years? Or do I just go get another loan? I mean, I just retired. So now my income is falling off on top of everything else. Again, what I'm asking you guys as commissioners is to empower Mike to work with the city attorney a little more aggressively as you think will make something move forward here. Mm-hmm. I'm spooked that this is going to drag out in some litigation hell for a year, 2 years, however long these companies want to try to drag this through. They'll spend more on attorney fees than it's worth just to make it go away. It's clear that somebody didn't do their job because while I grant that there was 1.5 inches or so of rain the night prior on 7/11, I've lived through 4 inches here in Marine City. Little microbursts that parked right over us. That day, the operators did their job. They followed the operating procedures. Right? Whatever happened on the 11th, they didn't follow the process. I'm a process guy. That's what I did. I wrote process papers for the company I work for. And the department ran with it. And if the process was broken, we got together and we talked about what's broke and we fix it and then we run with it again. What I'm asking you guys to do is to remind F&B who their customer is you guys, and to make sure that there's real people like me at the other end of this. I recognize that you guys can't just write us a check to fix this, but I would hope, and I was hoping that the city attorney would be here tonight, but I would hope that you would empower him to go after them a little more aggressively and not this another week. You know, I just talked to him last week and he told me, well, I'm waiting for a paper from the city. And I said, well, what paper? Have they not given you what you already needed? Well, no, we have everything we need. Well, what else do you need? Yeah. It's a stall tactic with us at the other end of it. I don't know what Little Bar is up to. I think they're doing this. They're their attorney. I'm not going to be in the middle of that because there's some other heartburn there. But the four of us, well, three of us for sure, we're having to dip into our pockets and or take loans out. I'm struggling with that concept. So please try to keep them in line and get them to do the right thing. Compel them to do the right thing. They have big fat contracts and word of mouth gets out there with municipalities here that maybe these guys aren't stand up. I know that's how we dealt with it. You know, they wanted that next contract. They didn't want to have a negative experience with our purchasing department. Anyway, that's all I came here to say except to thank Mike. Mike has been he's made himself accessible to me. We've talked a few times. Lisa, we've met through some charitable stuff that she was doing. That's how I met her. So we've had a couple of nice conversations on the subject too. And I recognize you guys don't just have the ability to open a checkbook and start writing checks out, not without something from your supplier F&B to backfill you.
Yeah.
However, you do have a city attorney, so I hope that you can kind of nurture him and allow him to go after them a little more aggressively, on our behalf at the very least. And hopefully the bigger picture is to fix some of the problems that led to this event. I know there's a lot of problems down here at the sewage plant. And I know for a guy that's living on River Road, I'm a little spooked about the apartments going in, because if we have an event with an inch of water, and then we've got another load with another 100 people that's just up the street next to Thoot, dumping into the sewage plant, I struggle with that. I know that there's problems down there, but ouch. You know?
Yeah.
So, anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Anyone else? Okay. Hearing seeing none, we'll move on then to 7 for approval of the minutes. Can I get approval for the city commission meeting minutes of August 21st, 2025?
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Then we have no items on the consent agenda. We have no items removed from consent. And we move on then to 10A for financial business. We have expenditures including payroll of $1,658,049.26. I have a motion to approve expenditures including payroll in that amount.
Making a motion to approve expenditures, including payroll, for $1,658,049.26. Support.
Any discussion?
I just have you note that there's several large payments there. You'll notice most of those are tax payments, as well as project payments, annual delivery of water plant and wastewater treatment plant chemicals, some CIP purchases, but the majority of the large items that you see, St. Clair County Treasurer and other school districts, are all tax payments being forwarded on, besides the water main project.
Okay, thank you. I have no other discussion, then can I have roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbosch?
Yes.
Carried.
Okay, on to 11 for unfinished business. We have the Michigan Municipal League Marine City Opportunity Report. I have a motion to receive and file.
So moved. Support.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. On to B for amending the resolution of 22-2025, the notice of intent capital improvement bonds.
Thank you, Mayor. If I can point out, our last meeting, we approved the use of capital improvement bonds. The resolution that we approved included for the use of sanitary system and wastewater treatment. What wasn't included was the inclusion of the storm. They had that listed on the revenue bonds. I chose not to use the revenue due to the interest payments on that being higher and us being able to utilize capital for both entities. So they wanted us to amend the original resolution so that it shows that both the capital improvement bonds were used for both sewer system, sanitary system, storm system, and then whatever's left over for the wastewater treatment plant CIP needs. So what you're doing is you're approving a notice of intent for capital improvement bonds, an amended resolution.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended resolution 022-2025, the notice of intent capital improvement bonds. Support.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Commissioner Rory?
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbosch?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Carried.
Okay, on to 12 for new business. We have 12A, Blue Care Network Advantage Insurance Renewal. Can I have a motion to approve the Blue Care Network Advantage annual renewal for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st of 2026?
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Commissioner Rory?
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbosch?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Carried.
Okay, we're on to 12B under new business, the wastewater treatment plant SCADA purchase. And city manager.
Yes, if I can go into some detail in regards to the SCADA system. So SCADA is basically an alarm system that activates, and in this purpose, for high-intensity variable speed pumping capabilities. The two pumps that you're going to hear a lot about are called Kennedy pumps. And the reason we call them Kennedy pumps because that's the company that manufactured them and then assisted us with the installation. Several years before I came here, you had an emergency purchase of Kennedy pumps. In the future, you're going to hear some more information about what you did a couple of years ago in terms of how they were put in. But in that case, in terms of those pumps, they were never connected to an alarm system at the time that they were installed. I think that's critical for notification purposes in terms of when you may have weather events or other things that show high-intensity storms where you need to be aware of pumps that are activated or should be activated via an alarm system. So whether the alarm goes off or the pumps fail to operate, you would be given notification. That wouldn't negate the responsibility of the plant operator, though, who is aware that the pumps haven't had a SCADA, were designed without a SCADA, and operated for multiple years without the SCADA, and in their use and procedures to operate those pumps in a said manner to allow for reaction to different variances that occur in terms of their operation. But as part of the CIP for 2025, I had pre-budgeted, if you recall, during the budget times, for additional SCADA equipment. I had also added alarm systems to multiple other entities of the water and wastewater treatment plant, the Bell River Pump Station, if you remember. I've been updating the alarm systems as I've gone along. So what we found is that when we got in there, we were told that the original Kennedy pumps required a complete rewiring because they were installed improperly. Be that as it may, I don't know that that has officially been determined, but that the SCADA system wasn't been able to integrate with the pumps. So we brought in our own electrician, and I've been able to negotiate that what I'm asking for you is to approve this additional work in an amount not to exceed $20,000. The original cost of the pumps was $16,400 and some dollars. The actual work that they quoted for this part of it was $19,500 and some dollars. I believe I'll have that down to below or around $10,000 by the time I finish cutting this up, this elephant up, and eating it a little bit at a time in terms of how we're going about it. But in order to facilitate the work, it was outside my $15,000 threshold, and I didn't want to do it under an emergency order. So I'm asking to approve under $20,000. I will report back to the board what the final costs are and how we solved this problem, hopefully by the next meeting, and then I'll go into more depth in what I hope to be a future closed session in terms of those pumps and other issues. I hope that explains the need for the system.
Was it the control wiring that they said was messed up, or was it the actual power feed going to the pumps?
A little bit of both. There is a disagreement in terms of the plant operators who feel they weren't consulted and didn't approve of the original pumps. They wanted a different system installed, so they wouldn't sign off on it. The superintendent at the time said okay, and he apparently another engineer signed off on it in order to receive permitting purposes for the install, but the engineers that were operating the plant at that time didn't agree. So there was a dispute, but the pumps were installed anyway. They wanted a screw pump with a different type of system put in. Hence, an incident occurred several years afterwards, and now we're going to point to these pumps as one of the reasons among others. But they've been well aware of the system and the issues with it, and they've operated fine, and there had been no issues. I don't want to go in great detail, but there's some
Yep.
other issues in regards to these pumps where they were manually altered in order to silence alarms. So,
Okay, do we need to do a
a waiver of competitive bidding,
Yes.
I would request that you do that with your motion, please.
I will make a motion to waive competitive bidding for the purchase and installation of the SCADA alarm system by Kennedy VSP pumps.
Support.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Commissioner Rory,
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbach,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
carried.
All right, then can we have a motion to approve the purchase and installation of the SCADA alarm system by Kennedy VSP? Pumps rewiring not to exceed 20,000.
I'll make a motion.
Support.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Rory,
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbach,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
carried.
On to 13 for administrative reports. We have city manager report.
Yes, I've supplied you with a written report. It's a little short, I'll know I'll disappoint Commissioner Roig, but I did take a couple days off. A little light reading, just 5 or 6 pages. It's my, 7 pages?
Yeah.
I used big words. I was bamboozled by the number of issues that I had upon my return. But I will tell you that it's my intention, I do hear Mr. Ward. I agree with his comments, and I am diligently working towards a change, and I hope to bring a closed session to our next meeting with the city attorney for an update to the commission, and then direction in terms, from the commission in terms of where we're at. I know this is an issue that many of you have been contacted on. I'm working on it diligently. Mr. Ward and other residents contact me, and I'm appreciative of their input, and I feel for them. They have legitimate concerns. They have legitimate reasons behind their concerns. It hasn't gone as smooth as I would like it, but unfortunately, I don't have a vote in that process. So we plan on bringing it back to you here soon. I know the city attorney is working on it. It's a process, and I apologize for that, but it is a process. Attorneys and insurance companies, there's sometimes not a lot of wiggle room. And that's all I have for tonight.
Okay, thank you. And I don't believe we have any reports from department heads this evening. And then on, sorry.
Corner's empty.
Yeah. On to 14 for commissioner privilege and liaison reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Clausen.
I have nothing.
Okay, Commissioner Bryson?
The ordinance review committee met last week. It went, we kicked it off. It went really well. I would ask for our residents, business owners, whomever, if there's an ordinance that you've had trouble with, it's not, something's not right about it, or maybe just hard to understand, please come to these meetings and let us know. If you are, unwilling, unable to come up at public comment, please send the city an email, send myself, Lisa an email, call the city. Please find a way to let us know, hey, please take an extra hard look at this ordinance. Maybe it's just not clear, maybe it's outdated, maybe there's something really wrong with it, but just let us know that, hey, there might be a problem. We really need to focus and hone in on that when we get to that section. So other than that, that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner May?
I have nothing this week.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Ward?
I don't have anything this week either.
Commissioner Hendrick?
I've got one.
I also want to thank Mr. Ward for coming here. I did go and see what he's dealing with at his home. I would not want to have to deal with it. I know it's something I could have to deal with. I have a basement. I know everybody up here really feels for you, and you've been so pleasant. I know this is hard for you, but still, most people, yes, most people wouldn't be quite so patient as you are, and we want to thank you. But I'm really hopeful that Mike and we get some answers soon for you and the rest of the people there, because it's just a miserable thing to deal with. And yes, with winter coming, you need to get your boiler settled. So, and that affects all the rest of your house, and so yeah, it's an unfortunate process, and so let's cross our fingers that we got something for you soon. I did go to the meeting for the water system grant that the state is giving out. We have that water system to detect any types of things coming in the river. We've had it for a long time. It's on everybody's water bill. Everybody's been paying for it. But they're going to replace all the equipment, and it will be a minute by minute. They'll have access to this information a lot faster than what we currently have, which would be 15 minutes, and maybe somebody gets it, and then it goes down, and then by the time we find out about it, it's already in Detroit. So this newer system is going to be installed in all the plants. Marysville already has it. It's a lot smaller, newer, nicer, very efficient. They can get it up right on the screen. They can see it from plant to plant faster, minute by minute. So that's going to be covered for all that equipment. So we'll have all new equipment. We're still going to keep paying eventually for it because we're still doing all the monitoring and that, but at least they're going to cover the cost of all the equipment to be replaced. So it was very interesting. Went up there and we got the tour of their plant, and it's what a difference in equipment. It's hard to see one lousy piece of stuff that we have, and now they have a whole wall with everything on it and screens, and it's a lot more detailed. So it will come in handy in the event we have any type of spill or anything out in the river. We finally will get notified way faster once this is all installed and planned. So that was it for me.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
I know.
Oh, I betcha.
Mitigation right now is 25,000, the 9,000 they gave me for it leaves me in the hole.
Yes.
That means I can't move forward with actually restoration.
Yes.
F&B should be helping. I have a tough view on suppliers.